did it again. Good morning. It is Thursday, October 24th. I'm Gene, and you're hanging with Uncle. All right. So, we are 12 days till the election. And it's closing time, time for closing arguments. Hey, buddy. So we're going to be hearing closing arguments from the presidential candidates. And I guess, basically you just have to decide what kind of world do you want to live in? All right. I know Cadet Bone Spurs will make his argument that everything is rigged against me. It's all going to be about him and his grievances. It's all rigged against me. The 2020 election was stolen from me. I really won. He's still claiming that lie. I could do this and I could do that. Well, being grandiose in his projections about his own abilities, which is the typical sign of a, narcissist. But you won't hear anything about you. We talked about tariffs. I've read a little bit more on them, and I still stand by my previous episode on tariffs. I think you guys should read them, or listen to it. But yeah, tariffs. He wants to raise tariffs, and that would be terrible for you and me, the consumer, because this is exactly how a tariff works. Okay, now there are good times and bad times to use a tariff, but in my opinion, 99% of the time it's a bad time to use a tariff. All right, because let's say me, as owner of business company A, and I import widgets from company B or country B, tariffs make me, the business owner, pay more to import that good, that widget from country B. Which means when I get that, since I have to pay more for it, I'm just not going to eat the cost of that. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to raise the price of my widgets and pass that cost along to you. That's how a tariff works. That's how you pay more for goods and services. So his idea of tariffs, he's totally wrong. He has no clue what he's talking about. And just one more reason I will not, or I did not cast my vote for him. I already voted. But now let's look at what Vice President Harris's closing arguments are more than likely going to be. They're going to be about you. They're going to be about how trickle-down economics for 40 years has taken from the working class and giving it to the rich, the 1%, which is when the wealth transfer from the working class to the rich started. And if you don't believe me, those of you that remember that were alive and paying taxes back then in the 80s under the Reagan administration, do you remember when you used to be able to write off on your taxes the interest that you paid on your car loan and your credit cards? I do. That went away because of trickle-down economics, and those tax breaks went from us to the rich, wealth transfer. And that's trickle-down economics, and it's happened under Bush Sr., Bush Jr., Cadet Bone Spurs, when he passed the 2017 Jobs and Tax Cut Act. So what Kamala Harris will propose, in my opinion, will be and should be to tip the scale back, to close the earnings gap. I was just looking at a scenario where McDonald's made over 12 billion for-profit dollars, and talk about they can't afford to pay their workers a living wage because the price of a burger would go up. Give me a break. There is plenty of money. They're greedy and don't want to share. It's okay for you to work your tail off and make billions of dollars for them, but heaven forbid they do anything for you. And that's the kind of world that Cadet Bonespur supports, which is why I did not vote for him. But I know Kamala Harris will talk about a woman's right to have her own bodily autonomy over her reproductive rights. Now, I know those in the religious sector are screaming, oh my God, you're murdering babies. You know, that's what your faith teaches you. And to me, what it means to be a Christian is not to shove my religious beliefs down your throat, because they don't apply to you if that's not what you believe. It's up to me to live by those standards, not to shove my standards down your throat. And that's what this anti-abortion thing is all about. Them trying to control, in sign language, control women. And it's discrimination. Because remember, if life begins at conception, conception can't happen unless you have a sperm. So life begins at ejaculation. That's when conception begins. So why don't we regulate men's bodies? They don't want to do that. They just want to discriminate against women. And I do say discriminate because that's what it is. When you focus on one group and target them only, it's discrimination. Men can do whatever they want with their reproductive rights. Women can't. And these decisions are not being made by doctors. They're being made by legislators and pompous people who think they want to shove their beliefs down your throat. And that's called practicing medicine without a license. I can't think of one medical doctor that is in Congress, either the House or Senate. And I mean a medical doctor, not an optometrist or a dentist, a doctor. And no, Ronnie Jackson, I don't consider you a doctor. You're a quack. I mean a real doctor. So again, you're practicing medicine without a license, and you're discriminating against one gender of people. That is a classic definition of discrimination. So, you know, I think looking at those kinds of things in comparison, especially when you look at the people who served in the Trump administration for 4 years, because we have a record of what his, presidency was like. We don't have to guess. We already know. We saw it. And those people that worked with him don't support him, call him a disgrace, a threat to national security. And I trust those people. I trust the people in the room. They're the ones that know. They're not lying. You know, when more than one person says it, it's not a conspiracy. You should pay attention to it because they have first-hand eyewitness accounts of what's going on. So I'm glad I cast my vote for Kamala Harris. I hope you will too. Take off the partisan lens and stop thinking about your team. Let go of the herd mentality and don't think like a sheep, and think for yourself. And I'm going to close with this because this is a perfect example. After Roe was overturned with the Dobbs decision, Kansas, the deep red state of Kansas, said, oh, no, you don't. These are our rights, and we're going to put a ballot initiative on there to protect our rights. Well, here's my question to all the women in Kansas, okay? If you felt that strongly about securing your reproductive freedoms, why would you vote for the person who brags about taking them away from you in the first place? That's thinking like a sheep with the herd mentality, thinking about your team instead of thinking about you. Because you know he'll sign a national abortion ban. You know that Congress, the Republicans in Congress want a national abortion ban, and he will sign it. Why would you vote for the same person who took them away from you in the first place? Think about it. You know, Kamala Harris wants to restore Roe and protect your reproductive freedoms. Why would you vote for the person who brags about taking your rights away from you? Anyway, that's all I have for this morning. I'm Gene. Thank you for hanging with Uncle. Please hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. Let the rest of the world know we exist. And hit the notification bell so you don't miss whenever we go live or put new information out. Thank you for hanging with us. Remember, be kind to one another and treat each other the way you want to be treated, just like your reproductive freedoms. If we're not going to regulate men's reproductive freedoms, we should not regulate women's reproductive freedoms.